What was the moment for you where you said, I want to be a wrestler? You're not just be in the business, but I want to do it for a living.
Well, I always had it in the back of my mind. Then when I got out of high school, uh, there wasn't too much to pick from. I mean, you can have a 7 to 3 job, working all day long, and at the end of the week, you still on. And it was because the a lot of things were a lot cheaper back then. I mean, if you worked 40 hours a week, you were on like $180. And but then I'll tell you what really got me, and I still knew a little bit. I went to Memphis. My dad asked me one day. He said, "Won't you ride down to Memphis with me today and go to the show?" And I said, "Okay." I went with him, and I hadn't been around in a while, and I didn't watch wrestling on Saturdays. And dude, I went to the Memphis Coliseum on a Monday night, and I thought I was at the Rolling Stones concert, buddy. I have never seen so many people. I mean, the Mid-South Coliseum completely sold out. People there, the action and dude, when you're back there in the back, you're watching this, and which I knew a little bit about wrestling. I worked out with my dad, and I knew this, and when I seen that, God, I was hooked.
Hmm.
I was hooked to the gore. So I went back and I didn't go to Memphis. Now I worked for Nick Goulas out of Nashville. Fairgrounds every Wednesday night, Huntsville, Alabama, every Friday night, Birmingham every Monday night, and in Nashville wrestling's on Wednesday night. I think that's what I said earlier. But then you had spot shows that you did it. But I did that to get myself ready to go to Memphis, and because I knew that was my goal at that time, is to go to Memphis wrestling, and I couldn't because it was. Then I started watching it on TV every Saturday, and I said, "Where in the hell have I been?" I'm sitting here. I'm 20 years old. I'm wanting to do this, but what an education I did get wrestling for Nick. But then when I went to Memphis, and God, I was cool. I know I'm going from limb to limb, but the same thing happened. I'm wrestling for Nick, and my dad asked me, he said, "Won't you go to Evansville with me tonight?" Because I was off on a Wednesday. I wasn't booked in Nashville, especially your hometown. So I got in the car and go with him. And this is a rule I tell everybody: if you're going to wrestling, take your wrestling bag. All right, maybe. And it was there. I was lucky that time. I went to Evansville, Indiana, and somebody didn't show up. Somebody's car broke down, or they had I can't remember really what it was. And Evansville was the same way as War Memorial Building in Evansville, great big building, old building, and I love going there because I'm a freak about old history buildings, and if you've ever seen this building, you know what I'm talking about. So
Hmm.
I got there, and just so happened somebody didn't show up, and my dad told Jerry Jarrett, "Won't you let my son wrestle?" And at first he was kind of hesitated, because he didn't know, so he told me, and he's right there in front of me, Jerry Jarrett, and I'm wrestling a guy named Ken Wayne. Uh, he was well known as, in Memphis, him and Danny Davis. Uh, so Jerry Jarrett told my dad, they said, "All right, I want you to go out and do a 15-minute time limit." And he looked at my dad and he says, "If the match sucks, Kenny, you pin Ricky." And I'm not lying, but we went out there and we didn't call stuff in the back. You back then you just went to the ring, and me and him just clicked. But we went out there and we had these people, and it was great. And when I came back through the curtain, Jerry Jarrett was standing there, and he goes, "I know you're wrestling for Nick, but I want you to be at Memphis TV Saturday." And that was the start of me really getting in the business.
You had mentioned the Rolling Stones comparison earlier. There's nothing like hearing the roar of the crowd and being in front of 80,000 people a night at an arena at a huge facility, a venue where you're just in front of a lot of people. I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. It's an adrenaline rush. It really is.
Oh, buddy, there's nothing I can match it to.
Yeah.
There's nothing, especially